Hey everybody, if you can't see me, I'm just out of the frame, getting on my horse. Heath, say hi to the folks.
Howdy, howdy.
So, as you can see, we've got very fat horses. So we decided to ride in this beautiful January thaw that the Lord has given us. And today, we wanted to come and share with you guys about last week. We had that time in the round crowd with Melman, and Heath was filming and I was asking him questions, and then he told me that he didn't learn anything because he was filming me and he hadn't any questions for me. So I wanted to film this live to kind of do a follow-up to that session last time. And last time we were talking about how we produce patience. So here we go. I'm not really going to be talking to the camera. I'm more going to be talking to Heath, but just stick with us and I hope you get something out of this. This is how to produce patience, take 2. Okay, babe. So last week you told me that you didn't hear anything. So if I said to you, how can I produce patience biblically, what would be your response?
How you can produce patience biblically.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you have to go through trials to even know if you have patience. So you have to have a trial before you can test patience and actually put it into practice. So.
Yeah. Do you think that, well, where do you stand on the fruit of patience? What do you think that means in Galatians?
It's definitely a fruit of the Spirit. So it's definitely Christ living through you. And so that is a fruit. It bears out there. It comes from somewhere inside. So it's definitely fruit of the Spirit, and it shows itself only when you're tested, pretty much.
Okay, all right. So how do you, would you say that it's better to experience a test or to manufacture a test?
I mean, I think if you know it's coming, you can prepare for it, and you can prepare in advance on how you would act if something happened.
Okay, all right. Why do you think that it's, I want to jump back to this before we move on. Why do you think it's important to test your patience or to produce the fruit of patience, either one?
I think when you get squeezed, that's what you see what you're made out of. So it's really easy to be patient and kind when you don't have a circumstance.
Yeah.
So you can walk around and meditate and be quiet and calm, but until you're tested, you don't know how you're going to react and what's going to come out, like a cuss word or something. You know, so.
Okay, so have you ever read, let's see, Luke 21:19? Have you ever read the verse that says, "By your patience possess your souls"?
That's not a real familiar one with me, but.
What do you think that means? By your patience possess your souls.
By your patience possess your soul. I guess it's that your soul being your mind, will, and emotions. You can kind of keep yourself from going off the rails a little bit, mind-wise and emotions, I guess.
Okay, right. I think that's probably right. So, knowing what you know about the verse that I just said and everything that you just told me about patience and everything, how do you think you could set yourself up in a test, maybe with a horse, and maybe for the folks at home, how could they, I think you're out of the frame, you need to come closer. I know maybe it doesn't want to get real close. Hold on, guys, we're gonna reset these horses that are arguing here.
Test and trial.
Right. So.
How is Rainface going to react?
Right. Really. So, how would you think that you can use a horse example? You can use an example for people who are watching. How would you say that somebody could set themselves up, maybe in an enclosed test environment, in order to produce patience? How could you do that?
Well, I guess my most common example would be, not really from the horse world exactly, because you just don't know what they're going to do anyway, but in my job in sales, we would have to do like trial selling, and you'd have to role play. Mm-hmm. And so it mimics a stressful situation. You usually have your boss in there asking you questions, and you're trying to sell to your boss, or you're selling in front of a camera or something like that. So it's kind of a mini test on how you would react under circumstances with a real customer when they're throwing objections at you and maybe even being a jerk to you. Sometimes in those sales presentations, the boss will purposely get up and look at their watch, or they'll do something to try and throw you off. So practicing what would happen in a real life situation, I think, is a way that you could do that. And just practice in general, like in the horse world, if you're practicing roping or barrel racing or something like that, you know what's going to happen. What you'll do if a horse is acting up in the arena in the real competition or something.
So with that, with what you just said, and you said that you wouldn't recommend trying it with horses because you never know what they're going to do. I understand that. Can you maybe elaborate on some of the problems that you've had with horses or with jobs, either one, or with any environment where any situation where you've needed patience and didn't know how to produce the fruit? What problems have you faced in the past with that particular situation?
Well, I mean, the one that comes to mind is Melman, this horse that we're trying to train.
The one from last week.
He tests my patience quite a bit because he'll be perfect for 2-3 weeks and then flip and break my saddle and rear up and do crazy things, and I go, wow, we learned all this stuff. I thought we were buddies. I thought we were friends, and then he's like a completely different horse. So he tests my patience, and I guess how I respond back to that is my test. Like, do I really want to get back on him and do this again, or do I just want to go sit in the house, you know?
When in those moments when he's testing your patience, how can you maybe rely on the Lord and produce the fruit of patience? What would you say to Heath if you were in Heath's ear in that moment?
I guess you try to figure out why they're doing what they're doing, and you can ask God that question, like, what's going on here? Is there something that I'm not seeing? Because is he getting pinched? Is there a hornet around here? Was there a burr underneath the saddle? Is he hurt somewhere else that I don't know? And so just really stepping back from the situation before you blow up, and maybe asking God, like, what's really going on here? What's the reality of this situation? And then go from there. And
would you agree that what you just said is really the manifestation of Luke 21:19 that says, by your patience possess your souls?
Yeah, I would say that's probably the manifestation of it, and taking a deep breath and taking a step back, and instead of losing your mind a little bit.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this little session where we actually got to the bottom of what I was trying to teach last week. And I think that you'll want to stick around, because what Heath just said about asking the Lord, that is the answer that I was trying to get him to. You ask the Lord where the wisdom is. And as a matter of fact, to continue our series on James, we'll be in James chapter 1, verses 5-6, I believe, next week, which is talking about, if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives to all liberally with no rebuke, but let him ask in faith, because he who doubts is like a man tossed by the waves of water. He's divided in everything he does. Anyway, you're going to want to stick around for that. Remember, I love you and Jesus loves you. Bye.
Hasta la vista.
I'm going to ride up and turn this live off. Hi. Have a good night, everybody.